I never thought a single night could shatter everything. The engagement party was supposed to be perfect. Emily in that stunning navy dress, me in a crisp suit, friends and family smiling like nothing could go wrong. I was holding her hand, proud and stupidly happy. "You look amazing," I said, grinning. She smiled back, a little too carefully. "Thanks, Ryan. You clean up nicely too." Mark nudged me from behind. "Dude, you're glowing. She's lucky." I laughed, though something in me felt tight. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I pushed it aside. This was our night. The champagne popped, glasses clinked, everyone was laughing, and then, of course, Emily had to choose the worst possible moment. "Ryan," she said, tugging me toward the balcony. My chest tightened. Something about her tone didn't fit. "What's up?" I asked. She hesitated, biting her lip. I can't do this." I blinked. "Wait, what?" She sighed. "I can't marry you. I'm leaving you." "Leaving? Me? What are you talking about?" I laughed nervously, thinking it was some sick joke. "Emily, come on, everyone's here." "I'm serious," she said, voice shaking slightly but firm. "I met someone else. I can't—" The words hit me like a punch. Someone else? My fiancé? My Emily? She was walking away from everything we had built. I felt my stomach drop, my hands go cold. "You're... what?" "How long?" I whispered, barely able to breathe. "Long enough," she said softly. "I'm sorry." The laughter from inside the party sounded like it belonged to a different world. I wanted to scream, to grab her, to make her explain, but the words stuck in my throat. Mark was beside me in an instant. "Ryan, talk to me. What's happening?" "She's leaving me," I said, my voice tight. "For someone else." Mark frowned. "Emily? Really? I mean, did you see this coming?" I shook my head. "No, I thought we were perfect. I thought she loved me." "She probably did. Or at least thought she did," Mark said quietly. "People change, man. But you'll get through this." "Get through this?" I echoed, disbelief and rage rising. She just threw away everything. Me, us, our life." "She's an idiot if she thinks she can hurt you permanently," Mark said, but I didn't hear him. I couldn't. My mind was a storm of betrayal and humiliation. I turned back toward the party. Guests were staring now, whispers cutting through the music. Emily's eyes met mine briefly, then she walked inside without looking back. My hands clenched into fists. I can't believe this," I muttered. "You will," Mark said softly. "But first, you need to breathe. You're still standing, Ryan. That counts for something." I shook my head, feeling tears sting. "No, how could she? I trusted her. I gave her everything, and she just left. Like I was nothing." "Hey," Mark said, gripping my shoulder. "You're more than this. Way more. And one day she'll regret it." I wanted to believe him, but right now I felt hollow, empty, angry, humiliated, and beneath it all a spark ignited, a tiny, dangerous flame of resolve. I wasn't going to forget this. Not ever. I haven't left my apartment in days. Every time I pick up my phone, I see her smiling face on someone else's post or a story she tagged. It's like salt in an open wound. "Ryan? You okay, man?" Mark's voice came through my door. I didn't answer at first. "I'm fine," I said finally, though my voice cracked. "Fine." He laughed, but it wasn't really funny. "Dude, you're hiding in here like a ghost. Emily left, yes, but you can't just vanish." "I don't want to see anyone," I said. "I don't want to talk to anyone. Just leave me alone." Mark's sigh was long and frustrated. "You're hurting yourself more than her, Ryan. Come on, at least talk to someone. You can't keep punishing yourself." "I'm not punishing myself," I muttered. I'm processing." You call this processing? He asked. You haven't eaten. You haven't slept. And you're staring at your ceiling like it's going to fix everything. I didn't argue. He was right. I had barely touched the food in my fridge. I didn't even notice the mail piling up. All I could see was Emily, her smile, her laugh, the way she looked at me before she left. Later, Sarah called. My sister. Her voice was calm, grounding. Ryan, I know you're hurting, she said gently, but you can't let her destruction define you. You're stronger than that. I don't feel strong, I whispered. I feel worthless. She just tossed everything aside, and I can't stop thinking about it. You can't change what she did, she said firmly, but you can control how you respond. You're better than staying in that dark place. I don't know how to get out, I said. Everything reminds me of her. I know, she replied softly. That's normal. Just let yourself feel it. Then, when you're ready, start building again. I hung up and sat in silence. The apartment was too quiet, but even the noise of the city outside felt wrong. Every memory of Emily gnawed at me. I remembered her laughing at a joke I didn't get, pretending to be interested in my work, the way she subtly dismissed my opinions. Was any of it real? I muttered aloud. Mark called again, persistent as ever. You're thinking too much, he said. You need air. Come to the gym or grab a coffee. Just leave your apartment. I can't, I said. I can't face people. Everyone will look at me differently. Everyone knows. Knows what? He asked. That she left me, I said. That I let her leave me. That I wasn't enough. You were enough, Mark snapped. Emily made her choice. That's on her, not you. Not ever you. I didn't respond. Truth was, I kept replaying our last months together. I noticed now how she had grown distant, texting late, canceling plans, always distracted. I had ignored the little signs, the manipulations, the way she twisted conversations to make me feel guilty. I shivered, thinking how easily she discarded me. How someone I gave everything to could just move on. And then, the email hit my inbox. Emily Brooks. Subject, exciting new opportunity. I froze. Clicked it. She'd started at Madison & Co., a top-tier marketing firm. High-paying, high-profile, prestigious. My chest tightened. Of course, I muttered. Of course she landed somewhere big. She's always wanted to climb. At any cost. Mark's voice cut through my thoughts. What's wrong? She got that job, I said, voice low. The one she always said she'd never get. Madison & Co., she's thriving while I'm stuck here. That's not your life, he said firmly. You can't live in her shadow, but... His pause was deliberate. But this... Maybe it's a chance. Think about it. Opportunities are everywhere. Maybe this is your chance too. My mind started racing. What if I ended up there too? What if I crossed paths again? My chest tightened at the thought, but also, oddly, a spark of something else, something dangerous. What are you thinking? Mark asked. I don't know, I admitted. Just possibilities. I need to figure out how to face this, and maybe get ahead. Good, he said, because hiding won't get you anywhere. Not from life, not from her. You've got this, Ryan, you just have to decide. I stared at my laptop, her name glowing on the screen. The betrayal still stung, but beneath the pain, a new resolve was forming. I wasn't done yet. I didn't expect to see her. Not here, not now. Coffee shop was crowded, the smell of espresso and pastries filling the air. I was scrolling through my phone when I looked up and froze. Emily, sitting alone at a corner table. She looked fine, confident, unbothered. I swallowed hard. Emily, I said, my voice louder than I intended. She glanced up, her eyes widening for a fraction of a second before she smiled politely. Ryan, hi, I forced a laugh.
Small world, huh? Yeah.
Small world, she said, her tone polite but distant. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to storm out. Another part wanted answers. Do you come here often? I asked, trying to sound casual. She raised an eyebrow. Sometimes you? Just grabbing coffee before work. My throat was tight. I didn't want her to see it. A pause. She looked past me, scanning the shop, maybe pretending she didn't notice my nervousness. I'm just taking a break, she said. I noticed there was no sign of a boyfriend. No one else with her. That made my chest tighten. So, how's it work? I asked carefully. Emily tilted her head. Busy, exciting, lots of new opportunities. Her voice was smooth, calm. She sounded happy, not guilty. Not remorseful, just her. Yeah, I heard about Madison & Co. Congrats. Thanks. She shrugged, sipping her latte. It's a good fit. Lots of challenges, but I like that. I nodded, pretending to be casual. Sounds like you're thriving. I am, she said simply. Her eyes studied me for a moment. And you? I laughed bitterly. Me? I'm surviving. There was a brief silence. Then she smiled faintly. I'm glad to hear that. I wanted to ask her why. Why she left. Why she threw away everything. But I didn't. Something in her expression told me she wouldn't answer honestly, not even if I demanded it. Listen, I said finally, standing. I didn't expect to run into you. I should probably… Yeah, of course, she said, standing too. She held out her hand, not for warmth, just a formality. It was… Good seeing you, Ryan. I shook it, feeling the lingering tension. Yeah, you too. She walked away, leaving me staring at the empty table. My fingers itched, not from anger. Well, maybe a little, but from something else. Determination. A spark. I pulled out my phone. Madison & Co. I started searching. Her LinkedIn profile, company website, news articles. She had a title now, manager level, high-profile clients. She was climbing fast. A notification popped up, a friend request from someone named Jessica. I clicked. She was in Emily's department. Her posts were work-related, professional, but I noticed subtle mentions of office drama. Nothing huge, just little things. Compliments on Emily's work, mentions of teamwork, hints at tensions. Interesting, I muttered to myself. Maybe she knows more. I scrolled through Jessica's profile. Connections, projects, even posts about Emily's achievements. My mind started spinning. If I wanted to, I could make this happen. I could get in her world. Cross paths professionally. And not by accident. I imagined the scenario. Me walking into the office, Emily seeing me as more than just someone from her past. Someone with power, influence, presence. Someone she couldn't ignore. Mark called while I was deep in thought. You okay? I just ran into Emily, I said. Coffee shop. Alone. She's… Thriving. Thriving? He said, a note of surprise in his voice. Yeah, Madison & Co. manager now. Big clients. She's unstoppable. Sounds like it hurts, Mark said gently. It does, I admitted. But it sparks something. I think I can make this work. Maybe I can get in there too, strategically. Strategically? He asked, laughing. You mean like revenge style? I smiled coldly, but it was true. Not revenge. Yet, but crossing paths. Being in control. Showing her I'm not someone to discard so easily, Mark whistled. Careful, man. That's a dangerous fire. I know, I said. But it feels right. I can't ignore it. And I won't. I hung up and stared at the screen again. Jessica's posts, Emily's projects. A plan forming in my mind. Small steps. Subtle influence. Patience. This encounter wasn't just coincidence. Not for me. Not anymore, I wouldn't forget. I wouldn't forgive. Not yet. I waited in the lobby, heart pounding, staring at the glossy floors and the people walking by. Madison & Co. wasn't some small startup. It was sleek, corporate, intimidating. And Emily was here, just a few steps away. My palms were sweaty, but I forced myself to breathe. Ryan Carter? A voice called. I looked up. A man in a tailored suit extended his hand. I'm Mr. Thompson, CEO. Welcome. Follow me, please. Thank you, I said, shaking his hand. Firm grip. Confident. I couldn't let him sense the turmoil inside. We walked through the office, rows of desks and people typing, talking. I spotted her instantly. Emily. Her hair pulled back, sharp blazer, smiling at someone. She didn't see me yet. I felt a mix of jealousy, anger, and something else I couldn't name. "So, Ryan," Mr. Thompson said, walking beside me, "your experience is impressive. I've heard good things from your network." "I appreciate that," I said, keeping my tone steady. "I'm ready to contribute, to make an impact here." "Good. That's the kind of energy we need," he said, eyes scanning my face, sharp, assessing. I liked that. We stopped at a small conference room. "This is your interview space," he said. "Emily's desk is right over there. Consider it background information. She's a capable team member, but today is about you." I nodded, heart thudding. "Understood." The door closed. I sat, trying to calm my nerves, but my mind kept flashing to Emily. I remembered our engagement, the party, her leaving. And now she was just there, working, thriving. A small spark of anger flared. The interview began. Mr. Thompson leaned back. "Tell me why you're here, Ryan. What do you want from Madison & Co.?" "I want to grow," I said. "To prove myself. I want to work with talented people. I want results," he nodded. "Good. And what do you think you bring that others don't?" I smiled faintly. "Perspective, drive, commitment, and resilience." My eyes flicked toward Emily's desk for a fraction of a second. I didn't look long enough to be noticed, but long enough to feel satisfaction. Mr. Thompson leaned forward. "I like that. Resilience. You seem focused." "I am," I said. "I've learned that sometimes focus comes from unexpected challenges." He raised an eyebrow, curious. "Challenges?" "Personal and professional," I said carefully. "I've faced setbacks that taught me I can adapt and thrive." He smiled slightly. "I like your honesty. Adaptation is critical here." The interview continued with technical questions, strategy hypotheticals, client scenarios. I answered confidently, but my mind wandered to Emily's face, the way she looked calm and in control, completely unaware that I was here. Halfway through, I felt a presence. I glanced sideways. She was standing at her desk, glancing up at me. Our eyes met for a brief moment, polite, controlled, but there was tension, unspoken, thick enough to choke on. "Emily," I said under my breath. Though she didn't hear, her lips twitched in a small, almost imperceptible smile. That smile. The one that used to make my chest tighten. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat. "You're handling this well. Maintaining composure while under pressure is key." "Yes," I said. "I understand." After an hour, the interview wrapped. I stood, shaking Mr. Thompson's hand firmly again. "Thank you for the opportunity," I said. "Impressive, Ryan. I can see the potential," he said. "We'll be in touch soon." I left the room, my mind racing. Emily's eyes followed me as I walked past her desk. She didn't say anything, just watched. And I felt something. Satisfaction, maybe, but also lingering pain. I found a quiet corner and called Mark. "I did it," I said, trying to sound casual. "Interview went well." "You sounded confident," he said. "Good. How was it seeing her?" "Awful," I admitted. "And thrilling. She's just there thriving like nothing happened. But I can play this strategically. I can get ahead. And maybe show her I'm not someone she can discard so easily." "Careful, man," he said. "Don't let this consume you. Strategy is good, but obsession bad." "I know," I said. "But right now, focus and timing matter. I've got to position myself, and I think I can." After the call, I returned to the lobby. Emily was talking to someone, a temporary boss, maybe a project lead. I listened, noting her confidence, her approach. She was competent, no doubt about that. But she had vulnerabilities, too. I'd find them, slowly, strategically. I walked out, heart still pounding, mind buzzing. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in weeks. The spark of revenge, or maybe self-assertion, burned hotter than ever. I wasn't done. Not even close. I walked into the office on my first day as Emily's boss, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. The receptionist barely looked up, but I noticed Emily. She froze for a second, then forced her usual professional smile. I could feel the tension between us before we even spoke. "Morning, Ryan," she said, voice calm but tight. "Morning, Emily," I replied evenly. "I trust you're ready for today?" "Of course," she said, but her eyes darted toward my desk like she was calculating something. I held her gaze for a beat longer than necessary. Daniel, a colleague I met during orientation, leaned slightly toward me. "She's reacting well, right?" he whispered, a small smirk on his face. I chuckled softly. "You could say that, but I'll need you to be patient. Things will get interesting." The first team meeting started. Emily spoke first, outlining her department's projects. I listened carefully, letting her take the lead, nodding occasionally. But when she subtly tried to sideline one of my suggestions, I interrupted politely. "Emily, I think your point is valid. But consider this alternative approach," I said calmly. Projecting authority without confrontation, she blinked. Just enough to register surprise, then nodded. "Of course." "That could work," I caught Daniel's glance. He whispered, "Nice save. She won't try that again so openly." "Maybe not," I murmured back, inwardly smiling. After the meeting, I called Emily into my office. The door shut and the air felt heavy. "Ryan," she said, trying to sound neutral, "I just wanted to clarify that my suggestions were—" "I know, Emily," I interrupted gently. "I appreciate your input. I just want to make sure our goals align." She hesitated, lips pressed together. "Of course, I just want to do right by the team." "And you will," I said. "But I also need transparency, no games." "Not from anyone," her eyes narrowed slightly. "I don't play games," she said, though her tone lacked conviction. "Good," I replied, smiling faintly, "because subtle undermining can hurt the team, even unintentionally. Let's focus on results." She left my office quietly, but I knew she was simmering. I smiled to myself. Control was subtle, not overt, and I had it. Later, in the break room, I ran into Sophia from HR. "Morning, Ryan," she said. "First day as boss, huh?" "Yes," I said. "It's a transition. I'm looking forward to working with everyone. Just keep an eye on office dynamics," she said, tilting her head slightly. "Tensions can rise fast when hierarchies change." "Noted," I said. I nodded politely, aware she was observing everything, silently documenting. I liked that. Neutral allies were useful. I returned to my desk, opening Emily's project files. Subtle errors, minor exaggerations, nothing catastrophic, but patterns were emerging. I noted them carefully. One day this could be leveraged not for public humiliation, but for accountability. Daniel stopped by my desk. "You're really taking this in stride," he said quietly. "I don't think she expected you to handle it like this." "Patience," I replied. "It's more powerful than confrontation right now. Let her think she has the upper hand while we watch the pieces fall naturally." "Smart," he said, smiling, "and satisfying." "It is," I admitted softly, though my chest tightened with the lingering ache of betrayal. Seeing her trying and failing subtly to manipulate me, it stirred satisfaction, but it also reminded me of the nights I cried over her leaving. That edge of pain sharpened my focus. Throughout the day, I maintained professional calm. Polite greetings, subtle encouragement to the team, strategic comments in meetings. Emily attempted to assert dominance several times, redirecting conversation, questioning minor decisions. I countered each time calmly with evidence or logic, never losing composure. By mid-afternoon, the team seemed to respect me more openly. Emily's tight smiles were strained. Her eyes flicked toward me occasionally, measuring, calculating, perhaps realizing her influence was slipping. Daniel leaned over my desk again. "She's noticing the shift, and she's frustrated." "Good," I said quietly. "Let her be frustrated. That tension will keep her alert, maybe even careful. That's what I need." I felt a pang of something I didn't want to admit, an old residual ache. Betrayal isn't just about anger. It's about heartbreak. That sting lingered beneath the satisfaction, reminding me why I couldn't allow complacency. As the day ended, Sophia stopped by one last time. "You handled yourself well. Don't let small conflicts escalate unnecessarily. Keep documenting, but stay professional." "Thank you," I said. "That's exactly the plan." Walking back to my office after everyone left, I felt alive. The tension, the challenge, the subtle psychological battle, it was intoxicating. I had control, yes, but I also had a path. One step at a time. I would regain everything: respect, authority, maybe even closure. Emily might have thought she had power, but I was quietly, patiently, taking the lead, and this was just the beginning. Weeks passed, and the office rhythm settled, but the tension between Emily and me only grew. I noticed the glances, the tight smiles, the subtle ways she tried to assert herself. "Ryan," Daniel said quietly during lunch, leaning toward me, "you're really making an impact. People are noticing." "I know," I said, forcing a calm tone. Inside, I felt a thrill. This was my moment, quiet, controlled. But it's still early. I need to be careful. Emily appeared at the doorway, clipboard in hand, her eyes scanning the room until they found me. She gave a polite nod, then approached. "Ryan," she said smoothly, "I was thinking about the client proposal. I think we should adjust the budget allocations." "I saw your notes," I replied evenly. "I have a slightly different approach. Let's compare the numbers before deciding." Her lips pressed together. "Of course. I just want to make sure we're being thorough." "I appreciate that," I said, hiding my satisfaction. Every polite exchange was a small victory. She was trying, but I was several steps ahead. Later, I reviewed project files and noticed discrepancies in one of Emily's reports. Numbers that didn't add up, client feedback that had been misrepresented. My stomach twisted, not out of guilt but curiosity. "Daniel, can you double-check these?" I asked, gesturing toward the files. He glanced and nodded. "Already on it." I noticed a few odd things too. Emily's reports are usually solid. I leaned back in my chair. "Exactly. That's why this stands out. I need accurate information before we take action, but this could be important." Emily walked past, frowning subtly. "Is there an issue?" she asked, voice controlled but sharp. "Just making sure everything is accurate," I replied calmly. "We need transparency for the client presentation." Her shoulders tensed. "Of course. I'll review it again." I watched her go, my mind racing. I had proof. Evidence of unethical handling of data. I could confront her, report her, or wait and let the situation unfold naturally. Timing mattered more than immediate satisfaction. Daniel stopped by again. "You're thinking about using this, aren't you?" "Not immediately," I said. "I'm thinking strategically. This isn't personal revenge, it's accountability." "But it could change the balance," Daniel smirked. "Power shift, huh? Feels good to watch?" "It does," I admitted softly, though a pang of unease hit me. I wasn't sure if satisfaction or guilt was stronger. Watching her struggle, was that justice or cruelty? I couldn't decide. Emily approached again, holding a folder. "I reviewed the client files," she said cautiously. "Everything seems correct now." I smiled slightly. "Good, transparency is important. We all need to maintain trust with our clients." Her eyes flicked toward me, just a hint of frustration, and maybe fear. She was realizing the dynamic was changing. During a team meeting, colleagues openly praised my decisions, asking questions, seeking guidance. Emily tried to interject but hesitated. Her words were measured, careful. She was used to control, and control was slipping. "Ryan," she said quietly as the meeting ended, "can we discuss the project privately?" "Of course," I said, following her into an empty conference room. She closed the door behind us. I don't understand how things shifted so quickly. I've handled this department for years." You thought you'd maintain influence," I said softly. "But influence isn't given. It's earned. And right now, people respect competence, not just authority." Her eyes narrowed. "Are you trying to punish me?" I shook my head. "No, I'm not here to punish. I'm here to lead. But I can't ignore unethical behavior." She swallowed hard. I made mistakes. Minor ones. But I didn't think they'd matter." "They do," I said firmly. "And now we have a choice. We correct them, or they get corrected for us. I hope you choose the first." Her lips pressed together. Vulnerability flickered across her face, quickly masked by a composed expression. I could see the cracks forming in her confidence, the first real indication she realized control was no longer hers. I left the room, heart tight with conflicting emotions. Satisfaction, yes, but also lingering pain from the betrayal she caused me. Watching her stumble wasn't just justice. It reminded me why I felt anger, hurt, and a desire to regain control in my own life. Back at my desk, I made notes meticulously, documented patterns, discrepancies, interactions. This wasn't personal. It was strategy, protection, accountability. Daniel leaned over my shoulder. "You're turning this into a chess game." "Exactly," I said. "Every move matters. Timing, patience, leverage. I can't let emotions drive me. But I can let consequences work in my favor. He nodded. And Emily? Emily will see, I said softly. Slowly, inevitably. And maybe that will teach her more than confrontation ever could. As the day ended, I looked around the office. The knock on my office door was soft but deliberate. Come in, I said, though my chest tightened. Emily stepped inside, closing the door behind her. She wore a calm smile, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. Ryan, she said smoothly, do you have a moment? I do, I said, leaning back slightly. What's on your mind? She hesitated, glancing around my office as if measuring the distance between us. I wanted to talk, privately, about us, about everything that happened. I raised an eyebrow. About everything? Yes, she said, stepping closer. I know I hurt you, and I want to make things right. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Make things right? Emily, do you have any idea what you put me through? I do, she said, voice softening. I was selfish. I didn't realize how much it would hurt you. I studied her, watching for the familiar manipulations she used to pull. Selfish, I repeated. Yes, that's one word for it. But words don't undo actions, do they? Her lips pressed together. No, they don't, but I want to start over. I want a chance to show you I can start over? I interrupted, leaning forward. Emily, you left me. Not just for a few days. You walked away from everything we built. And now you think, what? That charm and apologies will fix it? She flinched, though quickly masked it with a measured look. I didn't expect forgiveness immediately. I just hoped for a conversation. To be honest, I leaned back, crossing my arms. Honest? Funny, because honesty is something I've had to discover recently. Like noticing the discrepancies in your reports, or realizing how you twisted numbers for your advantage. Her eyes widened slightly. Ryan, that's not... I know, I said calmly, cutting her off. I'm not here to humiliate you, but I am aware. And I've thought a lot about it. About us, about the choices you made, about how easily someone can discard loyalty and trust. She swallowed hard, her calm veneer cracking just a fraction. I never wanted to hurt you. I thought it was for the best. For you, I said softly, letting the words linger. Of course. It was never about us, was it? Her gaze dropped, and a flicker of guilt passed over her face. I didn't see it that way at the time, but now, I understand. I watched her, feeling the old ache in my chest, the residual heartbreak. But it was different now, tempered by resolve. Understanding doesn't fix the damage. It doesn't erase the betrayal. What it does is let me decide the narrative. Who controls it? And right now, Emily, I do. She took a small step closer, almost pleading. Ryan, I know I messed up, but maybe we can find a way to... No, I said firmly. There's no maybe. There's no rewind. There's accountability. And there's moving forward. I've learned that control isn't about charm or manipulation. It's about action. It's about integrity. Something you've had to rediscover yourself, I'm sure. Her fingers twitched slightly. So you don't forgive me? I don't need to forgive you, I said, voice steady. I just need to acknowledge what happened, process it, and decide how it affects me. And right now it affects me by reminding me I am in charge. Of my life, my choices, my decisions. Not you, tears threatened her eyes, but she blinked them away. You're strong, she said quietly. I see that now. I see what I lost. And you should, I said softly. But seeing it doesn't change anything. It only confirms that my life, my future, is mine to control, not yours to dictate. She nodded, swallowing hard, pride and regret mingling in her expression. I understand. I really do. I allowed myself a small, controlled sigh. Good, that's the start. Closure doesn't mean forgetting, Emily. It means I take my power back. And you move on with yours, but I won't let your mistakes dictate me anymore. Her lips pressed into a thin line. I hoped, you hoped, I said gently, but hope doesn't rewrite history. I hope for growth, for integrity, for competence, and I will act on those hopes. That's all I need. She lingered for a moment, looking at me with a mix of sorrow and recognition, then nodded quietly. Thank you for telling me. You're welcome, I said. And remember, what happens next, Emily, is your responsibility. I've claimed mine. She turned and left. I closed the door, letting silence fill the room. My chest still ached in places, but there was a strange calm now. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was empowered. I controlled the story, my actions, and my life, and that felt like victory. I arrived at the office early, coffee in hand, heart steady. The tension in the air was thick. Today's board meeting promised to be interesting. Emily was already in the conference room, seated at her usual spot, flipping through notes. Her posture was rigid, her lips pressed together. She glanced up as I walked in. Polite acknowledgement. No smile. "Morning, Ryan," she said cautiously. "Morning," I replied evenly. "Ready for the presentation?" She hesitated. "Yes, I think so." I didn't respond. There was no need. The energy between us was heavy, but I focused on the room, the board members arriving, and the small details that mattered. The meeting began. Emily presented her portion first. Her voice was controlled, professional, but I noticed the board's subtle frowns. Numbers didn't align, timelines seemed optimistic. A few members exchanged glances I could barely see, but I understood immediately. After her segment, I stood. "Thank you, Emily, for presenting your team's work," I said. "I'd like to review some critical points to ensure accuracy and feasibility." Board member 1 raised an eyebrow. "Please, go ahead." I walked through the discrepancies calmly, projecting authority without malice. Some of the projections presented earlier don't align with client reports and internal audits. I've cross-checked the data, and here's a corrected summary. Emily's face tightened. She opened her mouth, but I continued. Methodical, professional. "The client feedback highlights issues with delivery timelines," I said. "Additionally, budget allocations were misrepresented in the original report. Corrective actions are already underway to prevent future errors." Board member 2 leaned forward. "This is concerning. Are these errors recent?" "Yes," I replied. "They've been identified and corrected, but transparency and accountability are critical. Everyone must understand the impact of decisions on client trust." Emily's hands trembled slightly as she held her folder. She tried to interject. "Ryan, I raised a hand gently. Please, Emily, let's maintain clarity. All information is verified." The board exchanged nods, murmurs confirming their concern. Emily's usual charm, her confidence, faltered. After the meeting, Daniel leaned toward me quietly. "That was impressive. She can't spin this." "Spin?" I said softly, watching Emily pack her notes. "I didn't want to spin. I just presented facts. Transparency does the work for you." Board member 1 approached her. "Emily, we need a full review of all reports immediately. This is serious. Accuracy and ethics can't be compromised." Emily swallowed hard, nodding. Her eyes flicked toward me, searching for a reaction. I gave none. Calm, neutral. Just observation. Later in the break room, she sat alone. Daniel whispered as we walked by. "She's humbled." "That's a first," I nodded quietly. There was no gloating. The satisfaction wasn't cruelty, it was justice. The consequences of her choices were unfolding naturally. Emily caught my gaze and looked away quickly. I could see regret in her expression, a flicker of pride wounded, a realization of how her manipulations had backfired. I thought back to our confrontation last week. Her guilt, her pride, her attempts to charm me, it all led here. I reflected on what I'd learned: patience, strategy, emotional control. Revenge wasn't just about seeing her stumble. It was about reclaiming my self-respect and strength. "Ryan," she said softly, startling me. I turned. "Yes? I didn't mean for things to get this far," she admitted, voice trembling slightly. "I thought I could handle it, but I see now how wrong I was." "You've seen," I said calmly, "and that's enough for now. What matters is what you do next. Accountability is the only way forward," she nodded, swallowing. "I understand." I smiled faintly, a mixture of empathy and resolution. "Good. Mistakes teach us more than success ever could. Learn from this. Grow. That's all I hope for." Emily's lips pressed together, and she walked away, quietly, her head slightly bowed. I watched her leave and turned to the window looking out at the city. The ache of betrayal still lingered, faintly, but it was softened by control, by clarity. I realized something important: the power of strategy, patience, and morality. Revenge alone wouldn't have been satisfying. It was justice, integrity, and reclaiming my narrative that mattered. Daniel appeared beside me, You okay? I am, I said. Today proved something. That strength isn't about aggression. It's about calm observation and action, knowing when to step in and when to let consequences unfold. He nodded, and she'll remember it. Good, I said softly, but it's not about her. It's about me, about living with integrity and strength no matter the challenges. I leaned back, sipping my coffee, feeling a quiet sense of closure. Emily's downfall wasn't my triumph, it was a reflection of justice. And I was finally free of the chains her betrayal had left behind. I sat in my apartment, the city lights flickering through the window, and for the first time in months I felt calm. The storm of betrayal, heartbreak, and strategy had passed, leaving me with something I hadn't had in a long time: clarity. Mark called and I answered, smiling. Hey, Ryan. Heard the office is finally stable. How's it feel being you? He said, teasing. I laughed softly. Different. Good different. I can breathe. The tension, the games, it's gone. Feels like I'm finally me again. That's what I wanted to hear, he said. So, any plans for revenge, or are you officially the wise, calm Ryan now? Wise and calm, I said, though I chuckled at the memory. Revenge doesn't feel the same when it's about justice. I learned that, Mark paused. Sounds like you grew a lot. I did, I admitted. I realized patience, strategy, and self-respect matter more than proving someone else wrong. I control my life, my choices, my actions, not hers. Later, Sarah stopped by with coffee, and we talked quietly. Ryan, you seem lighter, she said, setting the cup on my desk. I am, I said, taking a sip. The past is the past. Emily's decisions, the betrayal, it hurt, but it taught me something invaluable. Strength isn't about hurting others. It's about rising above, even when it's hard. She smiled softly. I'm proud of you. You didn't just survive, you became stronger. Thanks, Sarah, I said. That means a lot. The phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from someone new, Julia, a colleague I'd admired for her drive and wit. Hey, dinner sometime? It read. I stared at the message, a small grin forming. Excitement fluttered, yes, but it wasn't desperation or longing. It was curiosity, possibility, life moving forward without baggage, without comparison, I typed back, keeping it light. Sure, let's pick a day. I set the phone down and leaned back, reflecting. For months, my life had been consumed by one person, one betrayal, one heartbreak. But now I understood something essential. My self-worth wasn't tied to her approval, her love, or her mistakes. It was mine entirely, Daniel called from the office. You good? He asked, voice casual. I am, I said. I've learned a lot. Patience, strategy, observation. And most importantly, I've learned that my life isn't about revenge, it's about growth. Sounds like you're ready for anything, he said. I am, I said. I can handle challenges, setbacks, relationships, anything. And I won't compromise myself, not for anyone. I looked around my apartment, familiar and peaceful. The chaos of the past, Emily's betrayal, the office tension, the emotional roller coaster, it all felt distant. Lessons remained, but pain had dulled to wisdom. I thought about the moments I had doubted myself, the nights I cried, the anger that once consumed me. And I realized, every moment, every struggle, had led to this. To me, reclaiming control, self-respect, and clarity. Ryan, Sarah's voice echoed from the living room. You're really okay, huh? I am, I said, smiling. More than okay. I'm stronger, I'm me, and that's enough. I picked up my phone again, scrolling through messages, friends reaching out, colleagues checking in, new possibilities in my life. The world felt bigger, full of opportunities I hadn't noticed when I was trapped in heartbreak. The last thought before I finally leaned back fully. Betrayal hurts. Deeply. But it also teaches. And if you survive it, face it, and rise above it, you emerge. Stronger, wiser, unshakable. I exhaled slowly, a quiet sense of satisfaction settling over me. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. And now, I could finally live it on my own terms. Months later, the office felt different, steady, productive, and mine to navigate. I walked past my team, greeting colleagues with easy confidence. Morning, Ryan, Daniel called from across the room. Morning, I replied, smiling. How's the Henderson account shaping up? Better than expected, he said, grinning. Thanks to your strategy last quarter. The board noticed. I shrugged lightly. It's a team effort. You all did the work. I just made sure it was organized, Daniel chuckled. Always humble, huh? Anyway, you're setting a new tone here. People respect that. Good, I said, watching Emily walk by. She paused, glanced at me, then looked away. No confrontation. No tension. Just recognition that the dynamic had changed, and that was enough. Later, I met Sarah for coffee. Ryan, you look at peace, she said, stirring her latte. I am, I admitted. Months ago, I would have been consumed by anger or resentment. But things happen for a reason. I've grown, learned patience, strategy, self-respect. She smiled softly. You've come a long way, and you deserve it. Thanks, Sarah, I said. It's not just about surviving betrayal. It's about thriving afterward. My phone buzzed. Julia, the colleague I had lunch with a few weeks ago, sent a text. Dinner tonight? I grinned, typing back, absolutely. Let's do 7. Excitement flitted through me, but it wasn't desperate or anxious. It was curiosity, possibility, life moving forward. I wasn't seeking someone to fill a void. I was open, ready, and secure in myself. Back at the office, a minor commotion drew my attention. Emily was explaining a project to a junior colleague. I didn't need to intervene. She handled it, competent but careful, mindful of boundaries. Karma had taken its course. Her mistakes had consequences, but I didn't dwell on it. Life had moved on. Daniel leaned against my desk. You've got a quiet confidence now. People notice and it's earned. Thanks, I said. I've realized something important. Control over myself matters more than control over others. Influence, respect, and integrity come from that. He nodded. Sounds like you're ready for anything. I am, I said. And I don't need to prove it to anyone, not even her. Walking past the office windows, I gazed at the city skyline. The same streets, the same chaos, but my perspective had changed. Betrayal had hurt, yes. Heartbreak had threatened to consume me. But it had also taught me resilience, focus, and the value of patience. I exhaled, letting the tension dissolve. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I had closure. I had strength. I had hope. Ryan, Daniel said quietly, smiling. What's next for you? I smiled back, feeling the calm certainty that only comes from overcoming pain and claiming your life. Next, I said softly. Living it. Fully, and I meant it.